consecutive week of 5 minutes at the Frat House with Frat House Mike and Sidekick. And listen, I know that we had promised that we were going to have our own Andy Reid here with an interview that we were actually planning on having it a couple of days in advance and then bring it to you this evening. But unfortunately, we've put that off for a couple of weeks because, as many of you probably already know, Andy Reid's eldest son, Garrett Reid, was unfortunately found deceased on Sunday morning in a dorm room at Lehigh University where the Eagles hold their training camp. And so in light of the recent events, we postponed that interview for a couple of weeks. But Andy has indicated to us he will be with us at some point in the next couple of weeks prior to the opening of the regular season. Now we've got a preseason game, the first preseason game going on this evening between the Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So in light of that, hey, we're just going to turn our sights right over to the Olympics and what our American Olympians have been doing over there in London. And we could really do a whole show about this if we wanted to, but my gosh, there's just not enough time for us to bring every medaling event that has occurred for the Americans. But hey, let's highlight those women gymnastics team, all right, who had a terrific week last week, but then it just continued then after the fact. Starting off with Gabby Douglas's amazing accomplishments on Friday, where she won gold in the women's individual all-around. And really, it's like when it came right down,
I give you our champion!
Not kidding, now, she came out of nowhere, because I don't think anyone expected Gabby Douglas to be the gold medalist. Then there's the interesting story of team captain Aly Raisman, who was in some individual competitions and initially had her score for the individual beam competition. The judges came back, they had her in 4th place, I believe it was 4th. But then her coach went and disputed it with the judges, and in fact, the judges overturned their initial decision, and Aly Raisman ended up getting the bronze. Later on the same day, she ended up getting the gold in the floor exercises. And then there's the wonderful story of our very immature 16-year-old Michaela Morani, who scored herself a silver in the individual vault. Did you hear me? I said silver, all right? But by the sound of it, you would have thought that she came in dead last. This spoiled little brat.
What does he think I am, an imbecile?
This spoiled little brat stood up there on the platform with the other winners, making faces the whole time, looking like some sourpuss, and then after the fact, had a really kind of a nasty post-event interview for NBC. Frankly, I was really appalled. And Michaela, I got a little bit of advice for you if you make it back to Rio in 4 years. Grow up.
And your face will stay like that if you keep your face like that, it'll stay like that.
There you go. That's my mother used to say. That's right. Other highlights have to be what Allyson Felix did last night, or just yesterday actually. I say last night because I saw it then, and winning the gold in the 200-meter dash. What an incredible race she had. I think she came in from 3rd and just took the whole thing. Tremendous. And I threw this one in there just for you, Sidekick, because I know how much of a cyclist enthusiast you are. There's Kristin Arnold, 38 years old, won herself a gold in cycling. Then we got everybody's sweetheart, Lolo Jones, who came in 4th and didn't even medal in the 100-meter hurdles the other day. And then proceeded to go on a crying jag on the Today Show, saying how she couldn't believe how she had been ripped apart by the media 2 days in advance of her competition, which was terribly distracting. Well, I got a little bit of advice for you there too, Lolo. Hey, welcome to the world of international sports. And perhaps maybe the next time, you'll let others kind of make you bigger than life than you making yourself bigger than life. All right? Let others make that decision. And listen, I helped you out. I know you wanted volleyball in there last week. I put it in there for you this week. Hey,
there we go.
There's the volleyball team. We got Misty May-Treanor and Kerri Walsh winning their 3rd gold yesterday. 3rd gold in women's beach volleyball. The 3rd in 3 Olympic appearances. Now, Misty May apparently is retiring, but Kerri Walsh is going to continue on, and perhaps we see her in 4 years in Rio. And So there you have it. Did I miss any of our highlights?
No.
Okay. Like I said, I already know that there were some things that happened today, but we'll bring those to you next in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Let's take a look at the medal count, and these are the medal counts through yesterday. All right. So I don't want to be a spoiler. In the event anybody's watching anything this evening, these are the results as of yesterday. Currently, the U.S. is ahead of China in total medals with 82 to 77 for China. However, China still continues to hold a modest edge over us in the golds. Just 2 gold medals ahead of us. Just 2. And so that's our Olympic update for this week, and we will bring you a final wrap in 2 weeks from now. And we'll let you know why in a couple of moments. But since we're talking about the Olympics, that kind of brings us to our Frat House Facebook post of the week, which was prompted by the post that I put up the other day about the South African swimmer who had won a gold medal in the 100-meter breaststroke, and then indicated after the fact that he had cheated in his swim by using multiple dolphin kicks in turns, and apparently this is a violation. Well, no, he didn't say he goofed. He said he did it. And that brought out our Facebook friends, Linda and Lee, who both discussed it a little bit further and in greater depth and clarified a few things, so that helped it out a little better. We talked about how things like that could be avoided in the future. So those are good posts. We appreciate. That's the kind of thing we're looking for. Keep them coming. Hey, let's go over and switch it to some motor racing. Huh? Let's go take a look at the race that you and I were at Pocono Raceway. Well, we darn near didn't hear that because we got there, I guess, a little bit, about an hour in advance of the flag. And I guess it was about a good 25 minutes maybe, before that. All of a sudden, the skies opened up, thunder and lightning and bolts of lightning and heavy rain, and we're seeking shelter. Well, obviously, the race got delayed as a result of that, since it was just really moments before the flag was to drop. Now, unfortunately, that wasn't the only delay. I mean, that was the initial one, but then a second whole string of storms came rolling through at about 5 p.m. And that one was even more dangerous and more serious.
Yes.
As we found out later on, 1 person died and 9 others were injured as a result of 2 separate lightning strikes. And we actually escaped one of those strikes by about 15 minutes on the way out the door as fans were flocking to get out of the race. Now, Pocono did manage to get 98 of the 160 laps in before that second round of storms came through. And in the end, Jeff Gordon won his first race of the season under caution. Others who came in the top 5 included Kaey Kahne. He came in second. Martin Truex Jr. came in third. And you're going to see that helped him out substantially in the standings. Brad Keselowski came in 4th, and Tony Stewart came in 5th. Now, I'd gotten into a bit of a debate about this a little bit the other evening, Sidekick. And it just seemed to me that when you've got 85,000 fans in the stands, and you know that you've got a big storm, a thunderstorm, a lightning storm coming, should they have, in fact, perhaps called that race a little bit sooner than they did?
No, I don't think they should have called it any sooner. I think the right thing would have been possibly, if they thought there was lightning coming, to throw a caution or a red flag the race, bring the drivers down pit road, stop everybody, try to get people out of the stands, and that. But apparently, the lightning strike that happened this weekend, it was in the grounds where we were parking.
In the parking area, yeah.
So I don't know how much that would have helped. Unfortunately, when you look at where some of these tracks are, it's a big open field with nothing but metal sitting isolated. So, we were looking at it. Anywhere you went, the only shelter was metal. The gates are it's a long corrugated metal building. Yeah. You've got the grandstands are metal. Everybody was huddled in there. So, I don't know if there's really a good spot to hide. Other than to get into your car. So, maybe something needs to be looked at for that. But I don't think they need to call the race any earlier. Maybe like I said, red flag it and have direct people to go to their cars until the storm comes over. you know,
Right.
than that.
I'm just thinking that perhaps if they had called a little bit earlier, it would have given more people time to get to their cars because it was a little bit of a trek to get to even our vehicle.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go take a look at the Sprint Cup leaderboard following Pocono. And there were really no changes this week, Sidekick, with the exception of the 5th place spot. But wait till you see how tight the points have suddenly become. Dale Jr. still holds on to the number 1 spot with 744. But back Kenseth, who's in second and has been, but he's now only 5 points behind Jr. Only 1 point now separates Kenseth from Biffle, who's in third, at 738, and 2 points more than separate Biffle from Jimmie Johnson at 736. And then you've got our change, which is Martin Truex Jr. taking over the 5th spot at 694.
And there's one other big change. Jeff Gordon has now moved up into a wild card
spot as a result of winning. Yes,
so
correct.
now you've got Kaey Kahne and Jeff Gordon are
Right.
your
and that's leaving
wild
Kyle Busch on the outside looking in, unless something changes in the next 5
He's
races.
12 points behind Gordon. At this
Right.
point.
Now we do have a race this weekend, and it's going to be up at that 2.5-mile road course at Watkins Glen International. That will be carried live at noon, starting at noon on ESPN. And with that being a road course, I'm sure you've got lots of good advice for us on the fantasy side for our fantasy teams, and I need some because I'm in 4th place now with only 5 races left. So give me some.
So this week we're going to Watkins Glen, New York for our second road course of the season. This track is a little faster because it's a little wider. Drivers can get into bigger problems here because of the increased speed. Sonoma is a little bit tighter, it's a little more technical, not as much speed. So drivers you want to keep an eye on this week. Marcos Ambrose, he's never finished worse than 3rd since coming to NASCAR in 2008. Jimmie Johnson, I mean, he's hot right now. He's got 3 top 5s at the track, 5 top 10s. Kyle Busch has 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 6 top 10s. Juan Pablo Montoya is another name that comes up. 1 win, 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s. His average finish is 4th at Watkins Glen. And then Tony Stewart, he's got 5 wins, 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s. His average finish though is 17th, so he's a little bit more of a gamble.
Right.
So, but that's the drivers you want to watch.
Well, there's your fantasy stuff, and I'll probably be taking a look at a few of those, not all. Listen, since I did mention that we were there at Pocono, well, hey, we've got ourselves yet another 5 minutes outside the frat house moment, where you and I were able to get our picture taken with Tony Stewart's number 14 Mobil Oil and Home Depot car there at the Chevy display, and that was going on during the first big storm. We were there while the rain was pouring down over our heads on that tarp. All right, there's our race wrap-up. Hey, let's go take a look at what's happening over at Major League Baseball. And as I pointed out last week, unfortunately, I think sometimes with the Olympics, and this happens every 4 years, baseball kind of gets pushed to the back. And so you might want to listen in on some of the more bizarre stories that I've got for you this week because you probably missed them. A couple of your guys over there at the Cardinals over there at Busch Stadium the other night were lasered. Now I said lasered. They weren't tasered, they were lasered. Including Cards manager Mike Matheny. Yeah, there happened to be a 17-year-old jerk kid sitting up in one of the luxury boxes who decided to use a green laser and shone it down onto the Giants picture, Shane Lowe and Cardinals manager Mike Matheny. Matheny apparently saw the kid. In fact, he even made eye contact with him, pointed up at him, and hey, I see you, I see you. Kid laughed and waved his hands at the manager. Ultimately, the little punk was ultimately arrested by the police after he ran from them and dumped the laser into a trash can. Punk? Real, just stupid.
Well, you'll remember this happened in 2009 with the Cardinals down at Citizens Bank Park with a Phillies fan doing that.
Yes, it did, but and I didn't approve of it then. All right, this one I just don't understand. Major League Baseball, along with the NFL, NHL, NBA, and the NCAA, have all sued the state of New Jersey in an effort to prevent them from instituting sports gambling in their casinos.
You're wasting my time!
Yeah, thank you. I agree. Listen, in the lawsuit, the leagues stated sports gambling in New Jersey would irreparably harm amateur and professional sports by fostering suspicion that individual players and final scores of games may have been influenced by factors other than honest competition. What? This has been going on in Vegas for decades. Why all of a sudden is this going to be an issue in New Jersey?
And it's legal in 4 states.
I don't get it. You and I have talked numerous times about taxpayer funding of stadiums and sports venues and that sort of thing. This one, however, down in Houston is a real conundrum. Conversations have recently begun about what they're going to do with the near 50-year-old Houston Astrodome and what should be done with it. Now, here's part of the problem. First of all, the stadium apparently has sat vacant for nearly a decade. It's been within the past 3 years that it was declared uninhabitable. Now, this is the part that blows me away. I cannot believe this, but apparently the stadium, which has stood for nearly 50 years, folks, taxpayers are still paying a $29 million deficit on the initial construction of that stadium. Now, add to that the cost, additional cost of $64 million to demolish it because they can't implode it because of the density of the area. So they got an additional $64 million just to bring it down. Now, if they want to renovate it, well, that's an additional $270 million. Kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, if you ask me. And these are the problems that occur when taxpayers have to fund these stadiums for.
Yeah. And
Plenty dough and plenty of it.
they're paying $3 to $4 million a year just to maintain
an empty tin can. This is another one from the bazaar. Now, you've seen those fan-based websites and Twitter feeds from places that are not officially affiliated with the real teams. In fact, I follow a few of the Twitter feeds that are, they say, we're not officially affiliated with this team or that team. But this one comes from the Pittsburgh Pirates is really odd. When the Pirates FanAdvisor.com started this year, it opened with a video on the homepage from Pirates president Frank Coonelly, encouraging fans to pay the price of $9.95 per month for a bronze membership, $23.95 a month for a silver membership, or $600 a year for a gold membership. Now, the site promised fans that they would have exclusive input into team decisions through surveys and that they would be granted access on decisions and things like that. Well, the Pirates came out the other day and completely discounted a lot of that, and in fact have distanced themselves from the site whatsoever, saying the site has no affiliation whatsoever with the team. I'm just wondering, where did the video of the team president come from, and why it took the Pirates 3/4 of their season to suddenly distance themselves and make the statement?
Well, when I was looking into the story, what apparently had happened was back in training camp, the guy who owns the runs the website approached the Pirates and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about this idea of getting fans together, putting our voices together, getting ideas, and then supplying that to the Pirates organization." Which the Pirates said, "Hey, we love to listen to fans. We want to hear what the fans want," and that. So they're like, "Okay, we're in on this." The coach does puts up a video. "Hey, reach out. We want to hear your stuff." Blah 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 blah. Well, now all of a sudden they're like, "Well, hold on. $600 a year."
Yeah, fans are probably coming back going, "Wait a minute, I'm not getting access."
The website's selling a little bit more than what actually was presented to them, so they've now had to kind of.
Pirates got a little egg on their face there.
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty there. Wow. Hey, let's take a look at the Cleveland Indians just a few weeks ago. These guys were being touted as possible contenders for the AL Central. Something went terribly, terribly wrong. Right now, where are the Cleveland Indians? Well, they're in 3rd place in the Central. After going through an 11-game, did you hear me? 11-game losing streak. All right? Right now, they are 51-60. All right? Prior to the skid, the Indians were 50-49. They were 1 game over 500. Currently, they are 9 games under 500. Whoops. Yeah. Good news. The Indians broke the streak last night against the Minnesota Twins. They had a 6-2 win. how things can change quickly, as we well know in sports. All right, let's go take a look at the league standings, because I'll bet you haven't looked at them all week long. Yankees have slipped just a little bit more this week, which is, I guess, good news for folks that aren't Yankees fans. They're just 4.5 games now in front of the Baltimore Orioles. Chicago White Sox are now in a virtual dead heat with the Detroit Tigers. They're just a half game in front of those Tigers, and the Texas Rangers are now 5.5 games in front of, well, hey, now the Oakland A's again. That keeps going back and forth on who's second and third there. In the National League, the Washington Nationals are now the best team, or currently the best team in Major League Baseball. They are 4 games ahead of the Atlanta Braves in the East, the Cincinnati Reds, 2.5 games in front of the Pirates, and the Giants. San Francisco Giants maintain a narrow 1.5 game lead in front of the Dodgers. And there's Major League Baseball for this week. And that's going to be it for the show for this week. But there's a couple of things I need you to do before we check out. Hey, first of all, I need you to get over there to fanjunkies.net. All right? Social media site just like Facebook. We're picking up a lot of new members all the time, but I know you're not one of them. Because I check on all of you. I know what's going on. All right? You got to get over there, join up, get your family, get your friends, everybody else. Join up. We want 800 members by the time football season kicks up in 4 weeks. Second, I need you to keep reading my articles over there on Philly Sports Live. Thank you very much. I know a lot of you are. I appreciate that. I see the comments coming. All right? Had a couple of stories up there this week. A couple of them were a little provocative, so good stuff there. Keep it up and follow that there. Last thing I need you to do, I need you to be right back here next week. We got a very, very, very special show next week. Next week is going to be football and all football. We're not going to talk about anything else. In a roundtable environment, that's the way we're going to do it. We're going to have panelists here, and we're just going to talk NFL football as we are now in preseason. And we, at that point, will only be about 3 weeks away from opening kickoff. So, in the meantime, though, I need you to do one more thing, and you know what that is. I need you to keep us real. I need you to keep us live. Keep us going. See you next week.